Dragon Ruler. It is time. X tier 0 back in the day. Are you ready? Begin. This is a deck that's been power crept. If we're talking about power creeping, this is fully freaking unlimited, at least just within Master Duel. They're still being careful in TCG and OCG with fully unlimiting it, but in Master Duel, it hasn't really been doing much. Bear into Floor is here, banishing with the graveyard, come forth and summon our Redox. You can banish 2 Earth or 2 Dragons to summon it. Ash Blossom is attempting to negate the Tempest from searching from our deck, a Wind Dragon monster from the deck. Impermanent negating the Bear into Floor, attempting to negate the negate. I think a big fear for Konami with the Dragon Rulers is not the Dragon Rulers themselves, it's the fact that a card like Tempest says search for any Wind Dragon. It's not a Wind Dragon Ruler, and Redox can reborn any monster from the graveyard, also searching for any Earth monster from your deck. Search for Max C, right? Redox searches Max C. Is that true, right? If this card's banished, no, Earth Dragon. It is stuck to, or it is locked into dragons at least. We're going to Maxi within the draw phase again. We're getting Gamut. I say again from another duel, but we keep on seeing why you should possibly not be using your Maxi in the draw phase. Now, I said before Yubel was coming out that you would want to use the Maxi in their draw phase, and because of that, Yubel wants to play Gamma. And the reason you want to play your Maxi early is because they could shotgun a Phantom of Yubel into the field, thus stopping your Maxi. That's what everyone's afraid of. So you either lose to Phantom of Yubel or lose to Gamma. Either way, if you're Yubel, play Gamma and you're going to get free wins. Nightmare Pain, popping the Spirit of Yubel from our hand, grabbing a Grave Squirmer, trigger the Spirit of Yubel to summon the Yubel. We're going to chain banish the Yubel off the field with our SP Lil Knight, as we then make our Cross Sheep. Returning from the graveyard back into the deck to summon our Phantom of Yubel to reborn from the grave our Psyframe Gear Gamma. Is that a second Little Knight? No, it was opposing our own Little Knight versus the opposing Little Knight. Now it's 2 Little Knights. Phantom of Yubel is now triggering, I should say, negating a trigger of Redox attempting to add an Earth Dragon from the deck to the hand after being banished by the SP Little Knight. We want to banish it because otherwise it's rebornable from the grave. So right now there's no Tempest, no Redox, as we then make our Star Slayer Typhon here, which we cannot attack directly due to using the SP Lil Knight. If you on-summon banish from the field or grave, it's no good. We went to battle to have to swing into Yubel. I mean, we had to do it. It's not, oops, we went to the battle phase. You have to attack it. All right, we are off the top of the deck. We are not going to Ash Blossom negate because the Phantom of Yubel will just negate the Ash Blossom, so we want to Little Knight get rid of that Phantom of Yubel, force its activation. Now, it's actually not forced because Little Knight counters Little Knight. If your Little Knight banishes at least one of the targets of the other Little Knight, then the 2 targets are not banished. So if you Little Knight chain banish itself plus the opposing Little Knight, your Phantom of Yubel stays, and it stays ready to negate that Ash Blossom. But instead, we're just going to negate the Little Knight. Sure. So we could reliably go to battle, take it out, which we would have been able to do anyway if we were to just have... yeah, we would have to... I guess this is the way to get rid of it. Yeah, we had to do it because it was targeting the Phantom of Yubel plus Little Knight and then our Little Knight. In order to destroy the opposing Little Knight by battle, we'd have to banish our own Phantom of Yubel, which we would not want to do. And let's get to it. Come to us, Eternal Favorite. Most Yubel players are not playing that trap, and it allows you to fuse with the entire field. Reflect, 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 triple 1600 damage reflect, and just like that, lethal damage. We couldn't Ash because of the freaking Phantom of Yubel. And it's not even Ash taking out Phantom of Yubel, it then replaces itself with another Yubel. There's just so much freaking Yubels. Should we be main decking Cosmic Cyclone at this point? What do y'all think? And just like that, you cannot add cards from the deck to the hand. Outside of drawing, that is. And you're now also under Max C. So you're activating the Throne, which you can't add, but it's still, a lot of people don't think about this. Nightmare Throne equals a Phantom of Yubel, Even if you're not playing Yubel, if you want to play this in your own deck, pop a Spirit, summon a Yubel, then make a Phantom of Yubel, and you did not even commit to your normal summon. Spirit of Yubel trigger, but the Apollo will negate. What we really ideally would be able to do is Eternal Favorite, be able to fuse with the entire field. Not going to even get close to that happening. And just like that, it is 1-1. Let's keep on going. Let's get to it. Hajime. We're going to start this off with a Dark Beckoning Beast as Yubel has lost game number 2. We're going to also follow up with the Spirit Gates, grabbing another Dark Beckoning Beast. Let's speed this up. Dark Beckoning, additionally summoning the Dark Beckoning as we then make a Yama. Yama search our deck for a Shavara as we now have a Nightmare Pain. Pop in Spirit of Yubel to grab a Samsara D Lotus. We are going to then chain Max C, a really late Max C. We're going to chain both our Shavara and Squirmer to the Max C so they draw 2 less cards off of these special summons. Oh my Jesus. Let's go, let's go. Now Max C resolves as the Spirit of Yubel already committed to summoning a Yubel from the deck. For the Shokaning into a Soul of Rage. We should do at least one more special summon, right? We should go into a Phantom of Yubel, then pass. Setting up the escape. Opening the Spirit Gates. Reborning a Spirit of Yubel. Really grabbing that Eternal Favor, which allows us to fuse with the entire field with our Yubel on the field. Grabbing a Phantom of Yubel. Oh my gosh, still special summoning under Max C because the Yubel has to tribute a monster during the end phase. It's going to tribute off the D Lotus, and just like that, we have the ability to pop a card in the field, link off of the monster, negate a monster, and also fuse with the entire freaking field. No matter what it is, we're going to fuse with it. Well, it has to be effect monsters. We have Pressure Planet, which we're going to chain our Escape of the Unchained, pop in that field spell in response to it activate and 2 get search in. Okay. And now the Yama's going to trigger. Reborn from the graveyard. Soul of Rage adding back Shavara. Shavara in hand is really good if you have a Yama in the graveyard that would be activatable. Okay. Now, what's good? We're going to be activating React, and React will discard another card to summon from the deck of Redox. Now, the Engrave Armed Dragon level 7 is going to add an Armed Dragon from the deck to the hand. We're now going to pile Armed Dragon, discard from the hand to come forth and summon. Triggering the effect of the level 5 to add a level 5 or higher Wind Dragon from the deck to the hand. We're now activating the Pile Armed Dragon to boost up its attack by sending a card from the deck to the grave. As we then Shokan this up into a Dracosack. This will force out Disruption. So we're going to link off with that Dracosack before it pops a card in the field and summons tokens, making our SP Lil Knight. Now, Lil Knight on summon on an open field, not so good, but against Dragon Ruler, being able to banish a relevant dragon in the graveyard could be quite important here. As we then use the Lightning Dragon Ruler to summon for the deck of Tempest. Now, it's important to note that the Dragon Rulers summoned for the deck with the Little Dragon Rulers, they cannot declare an attack. We're going to Armagram come forth, and we're going to attempt to negate the Phantom of Yubel, but we're going to imperm get negate ourselves. So Phantom of Yubel, not negated, still ready to activate. We're now following up with an IP Masquerena, additionally summoning our Warbalan as additional being our regular normal summon to then make a Lil Knight. Lil Knight versus Lil Knight. And as I said, Lil Knight is countered by an opposing Lil Knight, but not the first effect. The first effect will go through. So we're going to use Phantom of Yubel to essentially negate the Lil Knight effect to summon a Yubel from the deck. We're going to chain Lil Knight to Lil Knight. This is where Lil Knight counters Lil Knight because the Lil Knight effect wants to banish itself plus the Yubel. If you just banish any of the targets, the other one then does not get banished. So Yubel is going to stay on the field. It's fine. Now, Phantom of Yubel destroying a card from the deck here, it's not going to be so good because we already have a Yubel in the field. So if we destroy a Spirit of Yubel, we likely don't have another Yubel in the deck. So there it is, Spirit of Yubel being destroyed. As I said, not going to be a good card to be destroying. And we are ready with the Eternal Favorite to fuse with the entire field. Now, how the Eternal Favorite works is you can't flip it up, then fuse. You have to flip it up, let it resolve. Then on a separate chain, we can fuse the field. Did you just activate the effect to not fuse? Yes, we did. Oh my gosh. I think that was a mistake, right? We maybe thought that we could fuse on flip. You can't flip up a continuous, then send it for its card effect to fuse. So that is the problem. If you control Yubel, discard a card and send this face-up card to the graveyard to fusion summon. So we instead summon the Spirit of Yubel. The Spirit of Yubel, also due to the effect of the Eternal Favorite being used on Chainlink 1, was not able to activate in response to its own summon. So we have Tomahawk summoning a bunch of tokens onto the field here. Now, the Galaxy Tomahawk also not being summoned into the extra monster zone, meaning we lost one of the tokens we would have generated an extra copy of. We have double Little Knights coming back onto the field, and we now get to use the Eternal Favorite. And what's scary about the Eternal Favorite is the Loving Defender, which I can't look up right now because it's a live game. Let's show you this right here, though. Loving Defender, Loving D, and the Loving Defender is going to be a requirement of any amount of effect monsters on the field to fuse with them, so the tokens will not be fusible. We're doing it. We're discarding. We're fusing with the field. Little Knight is going to be chain banishing, though. And to summon the Loving Defender, the requirement is just a Yubel monster. It doesn't have to be Yubel itself. But the activation requirement of the Eternal Favorite is if you control a Yubel. It does not say you have to use the Yubel itself. It just says including a Yubel monster. So if the Yubel leaves the field, it still fully goes through because of Spirit of Yubel. But again, we have Little Knight to stop the opposing Little Knight by banishing one of the targets it wants to banish, so the other one does not get banished. And now, let's resolve the fusion. What's crazy about this fusion is it not only has all the other effects of the Yubel cards, but it cannot be destroyed by card effects, and you are going to be reflecting damage equal to the monster you attack into. So you could purposely leave up a big monster like Auroradon. So if you have a Nightmare Pain, you're going to double reflect damage. So right now, if we were to gain access to a Nightmare Pain, which we have in the graveyard to add back with the Spirit Gates, we're going to reflect 21, 21, 21. We have 6,300 damage. And if we just summon a Phantom of Yubel, which we do have the requirements to summon, that is game. We have so much game. We have a ton of game. We're gonna be reborning the Yubel even. Oh my Jesus. So reborning the D-Lotus, that is. D-Lotus summon a Yubel from the deck. So we're gonna be able to reflect 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. We could reflect 2,100 5 times. We have 10,000 damage. Yep. Now, the Loving Defender, when it reflects damage, it banishes the monster you swing into. So there's an opportunity to make a huge mistake as we attack with the Loving Defender first, lose the Auroradon to further reflect damage onto, and that may be the case. Let's see it. Nightmare Pain ready to get reflect in. Attack number 1, we're not attacking with Loving Defender first. We're not making that mistake. 6,300 damage with the other Yubels on the field. Oh my gosh. Who is sick to death of Yubel reflecting battle damage onto them? It's happening along the ladder. It is everywhere. It's all within the tournaments. Yubel is probably the most hated deck at the moment. And just like that, 2-1 victory. Yubel taking out Dragon Ruler Heartbreaker. I appreciate you. I love you for doing well with the deck. Thank you. Let's keep on going. We are going to max C in response to the normal summon of the Ram because we know that they're going to inherently rank it up into an Xyz, into a Dryden potentially, or at least end up on a Dryden, as we have the Ash Blossom to negate that max C. And just as I said, Dryden is here. Good triple tactics talent. So we are going to be looking at the hand. We're also using the Dryden to get popping. We're going to pop our own triple tactics talent, getting the Ram into the graveyard. Now, with the Ram in the graveyard, we're going to be able to reborn it. So we're going to make a Chakanine. Chakanine, reborn from the graveyard, our Ram. Then if Ram is destroyed, we're going to reborn the Dryden, that is. We're going to now use the Tiger Mortar to equip the Ram onto the Dryden. Sure. Further linking this up into a Hammer Kong. And then with the Hammer Kong going into the Xyz Armor Fortress, the new way to play Zoodiac. Detach 2, search for 2 armored Xyz cards. We have full armored Xyz and armored Xyz. Further Xyzing this up into a full armored Crystal Zero Lancer. Dryden is no longer negated. And what exactly does this card do? If this card in the field would be destroyed, you could detach a material instead. More importantly, we're going to use the full Armored Exceeds to make the full Dark Knight Lancer, right? The Dark Knight Lancer, which will be able to non-target suck up a monster. We have the Trident being able to pop. No YouTube stream today. We're going, we'll be back on YouTube next week, though. Purrely, come to me off the top of the deck. 3 cards. We have the Purrely Street to now make our Purrelys completely untargetable. Only the special summon ones, though. So the normal summon Lily does not going to have that protection. We have Trident, Chain, pop in that field spell, wipe it out. We're going to chain Happy Memory to protect the field spell from being destroyed. Very well done. Discard Lily for Lily, and the newly summoned Lily is protected. Cannot be targeted as we grab a My Friend Purrely. We're now going to, on the resolution of that, making the full armored Dark Knight Lancer right here, right now. And with the engraved trap, we're going to trigger the effect of the full armored Dark Knight Lancer to non-target, suck up that Lily, thus forcing out a surrender. Zoodiac negating Max C, setting up about just 2 disruptions was enough to win it. All right, Yubel it up. We have Pretty Memory being activated and being negated by the Ash Blossom, not waiting for the My Friend Purrely, as we then summon a Lily, which cannot be targeted but can be destroyed by the Psyframe Gear Gamma. Holy crap, Purrely's done. Purrely with just Max C, that's all we got. Now, can Zoodiac set up lethal damage? We're going to get negated on that Max C, so we really have absolutely nothing. Is Justinian gonna surrender off of this or what? Zoodiac lethal, what do you think? We're going to be reborning the Ram, making a Trident. Trident's going to pop the Ram, which will trigger it to reborn from the graveyard, the Chakanine. We're going to then further make a Tiger Mortar, give the Chakanine a material so it can activate. And if reborn with a Ram, it's not negated. Chakanine reborn from the graveyard, as we then make a Hammer Kong. Hammer Kong into the Xyz Armor Fortress. We have 2,900 damage here, not enough for lethal. Grabbing the Armored Xyz and the full Armored Xyz, now making the Crystal Zero Lancer into the Dark Knight Lancer. 3,400 attack on that Dark Knight Lancer, summoning from the deck a Zoodiac Thoroughblade, reborning our Trident, equipping onto the Chakanine, Dark Knight Lancer, adding back the Armored Xyz, further Shoconning into a what? Little Knight. Armored Xyz is going to equip the Dark Knight Lancer onto the Chakanine, 6,000 damage, but is this a double attack? Yes, we're going to send the Tiger Mortar for double attack lethal damage. Zoodiac, Xyz, armor, lethal damage. This deck is so interesting. I definitely want to play it myself. Oh my gosh.